All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Run! Go! This is the podcast!
Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a podcast?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and podcast. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey everyone, welcome to Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. My name is Tiago de Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
And I'm excited for this episode.
Of course you are.
We got a guest.
Yes.
Yes, we do. We got Frank Devine on the line. Did I really rhyme that? I did.
You did.
Frank, what's going on?
Howdy. Yeah, that rhymed. That's nice.
That was pretty good. I feel like that was like a freestyle off the dome kind of a thing going on.
I know. I feel like that's when I should have done like just this voice. Hey, we got Frank Devine on the line.
You're Frank Devine on the line. Right on time.
That
There
works.
you go. So Frank Devine, he is a DIT.
Yes.
What does that mean, Nick?
Yes.
Well, that's actually what we want to talk to Frank about, because you got a great if anybody checks out your IMDb, your list of credits is pretty impressive. But I think like a lot of listeners who are, listen to this podcast are interested in kind of like the behind the scenes stuff, what goes into making a film. And your main, in most of your credits, you're a digital imaging technician, right? DIT.
Yeah, that, and then a lot of lighting in there as well.
Okay, cool. So could you explain exactly like what is it specifically, a digital imaging tech? What does that entail? Like when you're on set, is it on set? Is it post-production type stuff? Obviously it's daily.
So you're like the in between post and on set. So that's one of your main jobs, is to liaise between or communicate between the two.
Right.
So usually in advance you'll have meetings with post-production to plan out the color workflow and the dailies workflow to determine how to best serve that project.
Because you're involved in kind of like making sure the dailies are ready to be like edited into something, especially if you're talking about like bigger productions, right?
On the bigger productions, I might not handle dailies. On like more commercials and stuff, you'll do dailies, but there's so much going on a larger production that usually you'll send dailies to post.
Gotcha.
At least in Vancouver, that's how we work.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. I'm actually curious how you got into it, because you obviously say you started as a PA, which is usually how you get your foot in the door on any set.
Yeah, so being a PA in Canada is different than in the States. You don't PA for a department, you PA for locations only.
Oh.
That's interesting.
So I moved to Vancouver to get into film. I didn't go to film school. The film school I was going to go to in Vancouver shut down the day I showed up.
Wow.
And then I took a year doing odd jobs until I met somebody at karaoke who told me how to become a PA. So then I started cold calling, and I got in on film sets, picking up garbage, doing security, doing traffic control. I did that for like a year and a half, and then I got in as a lighting permittee when they were busy and they needed more help there. And while I was a PA, I was sorry.
I'm sorry. Was that like how did you do the leap from PA to that? Was that something that you had some training for before, or did you just kind of pick it up on the job?
Get to, like, hang out, and while you're doing security, you can talk to all the other departments and you can try to learn. And I was on Arrow, the CW show, for the first season, and so I was chatting with the cinematographers, and one of them started giving me cinematography books, and he gave me the main book that you need, lending me, and he gave me the main book that you need to write the entrance exam into the lighting department. So while I was being a PA, I was studying these other departments and how to get in, even grips. Like, the grips were great at teaching me different kinds of knots, so that when I got into rigging for rigging electrics, which is what I did on the Star Trek one, you're able to rig things with the special knots that they use. Wow. But yeah, so I started by, being a PA, following people and asking lots of questions, being very interested and trying to absorb as much as possible. Then I became permit lighting tech and it took me a lot longer to become full-time in lighting because I also got in as a camera trainee. In Vancouver, we have a training program for second assistant camera. And I used to be a photographer in high school and teach photography development. So I had a little bit of a background, but nothing like film production. So then I was just back and forth doing camera trainee and lighting and PA work because you just got to work. You got to survive.
Right.
And eventually somebody asked me to do data management on a show. I'd never done it before, but it was up here as part of the camera department. And I had a knack for it, so I did 7 shows consecutively and then slowly worked up from doing data management into being a DIT. And then continued doing lighting and eventually became a full member in lighting as well. I kept leaving to do DIT gigs.
Right.
Because there's more money.
Did you ever decide to say, you know what, I'm just going to start my own studio since I've hit every department at this point?
No. In Vancouver, we're a service. Like, we all know our job, and we're here to make American projects.
Yikes.
You never decided to start a Frank Devine Universal?
Yeah.
Or you know.
No, not a chance. No, I'm a DIT to the core. Like, my job, I want to service the cinematographer. I'm there as an extra set of eyes and support for them, and I don't really have much ambition to go too much further than that. Mm-hmm. Maybe one day do DP something of my own, but I don't think so. Like, I really like doing what I'm doing. I'm there to help somebody else create their vision.
Right.
And I feel very fulfilled by being supportive in that role.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
So you almost exclusively just do DIT work now, right? Like, so that's, you kind of got away from the lighting technician. As you said, there's more money in it. Is that what you pretty much concentrate on now?
I DIT primarily. Like, I just spent a year at Apple as their DIT. But I still will take lighting jobs. Like, last year, just before I came down to California, I worked on X-Files for a day. And they're like, come work for us full time. I'm like, there's no way. But it's nice to get out there and do a little bit of physical labor, because as a DIT, the most laborious part of my job is pushing my cart around.
Right.
Because it's like 400 pounds.
How baller do you feel turning down the X-Files as a full-time gig? You know,
I know, right?
You walk in all Hollywood, take off your sunglasses, be like, nah, I can't do it.
Oh, yeah. You feel great. But that's the thing as a day call. As a day call, you can be a rock star because you've got the energy, you're rested.
Right.
You can come in and you can look amazing, and they look around, they're like, well, these guys don't work as hard as you. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't work as hard as me either if I was there for 4 months.
Okay, so on a DIT, can you run us through, like, if you were, again, because a lot of our listeners, they're kind of interested in the process behind it. If you were, let's say, if we could take like an example of one of these ones you were a DIT on, what would exactly your duties entail if you were to sit down and be like, okay, this is my day on set? What are you doing exactly?
Okay, so the job, the better you are, I guess, the more complex you make it. There's a lot of wiggle room to not be very good, I guess, and not do as much work as you can. Mm-hmm. But anybody that really enjoys it, so we're in the beginning, you reach out to production, you get a hold of post-production, you start planning a color pipeline, because you're likely going to lay the groundwork for the final color. You're not going to do the final color. A professional colorist will do that, but you're going to start to develop the color pipeline.
Okay. And
mostly for the dailies. So then once that's established, you're also going to manage all the footage. So we don't use film most of the time now, so it's all digital. So somebody's got to do that, unless you have a data manager, which happens on the bigger jobs. You'll have DIT and a data manager. But then you oversee them. And so you also plan, and depending on where the shoot is and where post-production is, you plan on how the footage is going to get there. And then for insurance, you need to have 3 copies of the footage at all times. That's like an insurance rule for production. So you have to make sure that that workflow is all going to happen. So then on a regular day, I will manage the footage. I will make sure the camera settings are all correct and monitor the camera settings throughout the day in different ways. We have the signal waveforms. We have different test equipment that monitors the video signal, as well as you can put up different information on the screen coming out of the camera. Between those 2 ways, usually I have most of the camera settings under control.
Right.
And then I will also control or monitor, depending on my relationship with the cinematographer, the exposure. So I keep the iris with me, and usually I'm pretty quiet about any suggestions I'm making to the cinematographer because it's his show.
Right.
I'm just there as support, but I'll nudge. And so I'll usually control the iris.
Okay.
And and then I live grade. So I'll grade everything live while it's happening, and then I'll take that and I'll bring that into Resolve usually, and then I'll do a second pass before sending that project to the post-test so that the dailies are already graded. And they're ready to be transcoded and then uploaded.
Did you ever have a moment in life while you were doing that you wanted to put in a Easter egg?
Oh God! So back in the beginning, how I said I did those 7 shows as a data manager?
Yeah.
I had this huge plastic owl, and I would just randomly go to set and hide him in set.
That's awesome.
My favorite was there's one of the movies was a wedding movie. So right in the background, they're getting married, and right in between them as they're kissing, if you look in the bushes in the back, the owl's looking back at you.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I hope you do this until the day you die.
Yes.
And every major production you're on has a plastic owl, and you're the only one that knows about it.
He's known as the owl.
Yeah, he's known as the divine owl.
The divine owl. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. That would be awesome. Oh
So your job is very technical, which I think people seem to forget. You go and you see these films, you see these big, glossy, great production.
Yeah.
You're thinking, oh, actors, writers, directors, cameraman, obviously, DP and all that. But then you go, well, why are there thousands of names in the post credits, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at these names and you're going, Jesus Christ, and be like, these guys are technical guys. Without them, this film would not look the way it looks.
Yeah.
This would not occur.
Or sound the way it sounds.
Or sounds the way it sounds.
Yeah,
or-
people don't understand how technically heavy it is to make a film.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work,
Yeah.
and for us who for some of us who just watch an hour, a 2-hour film or something like that, they don't see that. They don't see those months.
Right.
They don't see those 15-hour, 17-hour days.
Yeah.
Try to get this done, and it's just awesome to hear. Like me, working in the field, I just love hearing that because I love the hard work that goes behind it.
Yeah.
To get it done. And there's people like you that are just like. Yeah, I'm on my 17th cup of coffee on hour 2.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've done 100-hour weeks before,
Jesus.
but after production is not a long part of the process. Post production, I have no idea what's going on there. There's all the vis effects.
Yeah,
and
so
all of
a
that
year
stuff.
of post production on some of these big ones.
Exactly, yeah, and it's that's a lot of people and a lot of work.
Right.
That happened after I've already done another 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 jobs.
Right.
I want to talk about. I love this film, Star Trek Beyond. So I think to me, if I was on that set itself, it was just
Oh, I ran away.
You ran away.
You ran away. Why did you run away?
So we're in the studio, and like I said about the actors and how I didn't say this actually, but So when you have these actors and the bigger actors, what ends up happening is certain people are nervous and certain people have to perform for them because they're surrounded by them all the time. So they've got a really tough job, like hair and makeup are with these actors all day. And the energy there, I don't like it. So I was a rigger on that film, which I loved. It's such a good time. They're just like, okay, Frank, you're OCD. You're really meticulous about how you're going to set this stuff up. Go to town. We're just going to let you go. And so I spent a long time and like I addressed like a couple of universes worth of lights. And I rigged them for the corridors, all the corridors in the spaceship. And I don't have to deal with all the madness of production because I'm a rigger. And they show up, and I'm like, I'm not working in here anymore. And I just leave. And I go to another studio or stage. Like, I can't handle the madness. I don't want to be around crazy people.
Try not to shorten your life.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's like the part of the film that I'm involved in is wonderful because I'm just allowed to do a great job and work hard, and I don't have to deal with egos or crazy energy.
Right. The real time, shooting of the thing.
Yeah.
Which can get,
Exactly.
and that can get stressful. There's something you didn't account for, you got to change thing, and the guy's not getting it right. It's like, it could definitely, throw you for a loop. So you're like, I'm in and I'm out. Like, stay away from that. Smart.
Quick.
I know the DIT on that too. He's incredible. Like he's the best in the city.
Really?
Oh wow. Let me ask you this. You don't have to say names.
Oh, Diego and your gossip. It's gonna be gossip.
Not gossip. I don't want to. Somebody could have just had a bad day.
Yeah, people have bad days all the time.
What was your worst experience that made you run away?
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, Diego.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just asking the simple. You don't have to name names.
Oh, no.
I don't want to hear.
No,
Go ahead.
I just didn't like the energy. I didn't like the energy in the environment.
Yeah,
I didn't need to be there. I could work anywhere else. So I just moved.
Yeah, see, what this is what Diego's trying to do right now. He's trying to create a real lighting technicians of Vancouver situation. It's a new reality show.
It's this new show that I'm starting. Yeah, it's called Divine Moments.
Divine Moments. There you go. Here's what I would like to do, because there's like so many movies I want to just kind of ask you about and your experience on them, because you were on set, and I'm gonna name a movie or a show, and could you just give us kind of like, okay, this is what I remember my role on it, or just some interesting quirk or story about that production, if you remember, because
Or where the owl was.
Maybe or where the owl ended up in that movie. I wanted to go to one of your first credits here on IMDb is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I was in lighting for that one.
Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and what occurred there?
There's a scene where the SWAT team is going through the apes' caves.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah, and so they got torches or whatever, and I do the lighting effect. I'm working like 12 different lights on these two magic gadgets, and I do the lighting effect on their faces as they're going through this cave. Like, they had a monstrous set.
Right.
I worked on two different sets primarily, one in stage finishing up the job, and then one on Triangle Road out in the big military base with all the explosions and stuff.
Wow.
It was pretty cool. And like they had this little model of the cave set, what the whole world is supposed to look like, and then you look around you and you get to actually see it and stand in the same thing, which is pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Now, did you was the model used mainly for pre-production, for visualization and all that?
I have no idea why it was there. It was just like hanging out in the middle of one of the stages, and I was just like, "Oh, that's super cool,
right?
That's fun." But I don't know if they used it for anything. Not while I was working.
That's awesome.
Did any apes get hurt during the making of this film?
I didn't see any.
Oh,
I didn't
good.
See
Did they actually? Did they?
Only Andy Serkis.
They didn't have any real like apes within the.
No,
they were all digital, right?
And not in this one. I think maybe in the first one. Maybe they had real.
Maybe, but yeah, they're mainly digital mocap. Like there was all kind of that was how it was supposed to be because you don't want to have like a real. Yeah, you don't want a real ape next to one of your CG ones because then that really brings out the fact that this is a CG ape. Even though it looked fantastic, once you put it up against a real one, that's going to start looking odd.
Yeah, you start comparing the two.
You start comparing two, and your eyes are going to, be like, oh.
Plus, it's like you have to have animal handlers, and it just gets complex.
Too complex.
Yeah.
How long were your days on Dawn of the Planet of the Apes? How long were you there every day?
Oh, I don't know. A normal day is like 15 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like probably around that amount of time. I don't really think about it.
Yep.
Because like the goal, it's kind of, when I have the energy, the goal is to make it to 17 hours.
Right.
Because you're getting into triple time.
Yep.
And I want money. That's the whole reason we're making these movies. It's not because they're beautiful, even though Planet of the Apes look great, and like that's the kind of movie I like to watch. It's big, fun visual effects movies.
Right.
But like, it's a career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here to make a living.
Yeah, totally. I mean, obviously, you can't do it for the art alone. Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb.
Oh, okay. That was a while ago.
Yeah, 2014.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so I was in lighting,
Mm-hmm.
rigging again. It was at Mammoth Studios, which, as the name implies, is enormous. Like, it was the full size of the museum was inside the studio.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was super cool. I can't really remember much more of that project.
Did you meet the monkey?
Did you
How's
meet
the monkey?
Did you meet the monkey? Yes.
No.
You didn't.
There's a monkey in that
Well,
movie?
okay.
Frank, I gotta say, you have a lot of apes in your life.
Yeah. Monkey films.
I've done
CG
some
apes.
dog films too, talking dog movies.
Really?
Yeah, those are pretty chill, but I love doggies.
Okay, well, this is actually an important question about that movie, though. Did you run into Robin Williams at any point? Like,
No,
Yeah.
I met his daughter.
yeah.
She was lovely. We worked on something together. I think she's a producer,
Okay.
but I never met him. No.
Okay. Okay. The next one I want to ask you about is you mentioned it in passing, but the X-Files. So you said
Right.
you were there for like one episode, right? One day, maybe.
Yeah, one day.
Okay.
I didn't work with what's his name there, just with her. She's wonderful.
Gillian Anderson.
Yeah.
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 Because Neil over here is a huge
Not
X-Files.
even learn their name.
You're like, I don't need that stress in my life trying to remember their names.
Well, yeah, no, I think the original show was all shot in Vancouver.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think the original series, like back in the 90s, was all filmed
Yeah,
up there.
before my time.
Yeah.
Before your time.
And then even the most recent season, I guess they shot it all up there too, right?
Yes.
Must
yeah.
have been, yeah. If he was. Okay, the next one I wanted to ask you about, another one of Neil's favorites, Altered Carbon.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah,
Okay,
really.
yeah.
Neil's favorites. He hasn't even watched it.
I'm going to
this
see
guy.
it. I want to see it.
Nick hasn't seen it, but me and Diego have both watched it.
All right.
We both very thoroughly enjoyed it.
I
Right?
watched
We
all in,
fed-
like, one sit.
We fed you. We helped feed your paycheck. Nick didn't.
All right. You need to calm down, guys.
That was a huge budget project up here. It was the biggest. They built a studio for it out in the middle of nowhere, and I thought it could have looked a little better.
You mean like when like in person?
When I watched.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like making it. It's like it's fun because it's big budget and it's huge. I was also in lighting in this one, in rigging, because I prefer rigging to on-set lighting because
Right.
it's a way of like, as a DIT, like I'm there in the madness, but I'm in my tent and I play classical music to keep me and everybody else calm.
Smart.
And then to stay out of that madness in lighting, then I do rigging. Like being part of the shooting crew for lighting is great, but I'm just not as keen on it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm more reclusive, I guess. I didn't realize that, but yeah.
Okay. And so you did one episode of Altered Carbon, right?
Yeah, in the very beginning, before they started shooting.
Okay.
But I know the DIT who worked on that, and that film was, or that TV show was, it was a tough one because I think they were using Alexa 65,
wow.
which means they're like lots of data, like insane amounts of footage.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's like a nice camera right there.
Yeah.
That is like, I think that captures the world. Like, there's hands that actually comes out of the lens and like brings it into, it creates data that way. Yeah.
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 So did you have the option, kind of like X-Files, where you could have stuck around for longer on that one? Because you only did one episode, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I tend to not even try to stick around in lighting. Like, I'm just there because it's like extra work. You know, I'll work a couple of days and then get out.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not working full time as a DIT because there isn't enough work and I would die.
Wouldn't want that.
But, pardon?
I said wouldn't want that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah. And,
You're like, wait, what did you just say?
Did you just wish death upon me? No, I said we wouldn't want that. That would suck. Get yours.
so,
Actually,
I like bouncing back and forth because it gives you a better perspective, and like doing each role helps me be better at the other.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I was curious. So, as like the DIT, are you dealing with like data transfer? So if everything's shot digitally, are you transferring like hundreds of gigabytes or terabytes of data from like multiple sources and uploading? Like what would be? I'm just curious, like what the file sizes of this stuff is, because I mean, it can be. I'm sure it can be insane. Like you're dealing with like probably like what, like 8K footage or something like that, and we're talking like.
I don't like to work with 8K footage. I don't even know why we do.
We can't view it.
Not yet.
Red cameras are stupid. But so I did this show called Reboot. It was a reboot of a cartoon show called Reboot.
Yeah, I remember the original. Yeah,
The Netflix show, right?
Yeah, I loved the original. The new one, nothing like it, but it was great to work on. But we were shooting 8K, 4 cameras. I was doing like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 terabytes a day. Lots of overtime.
Crazy.
Jesus.
Yeah, I had 2 computers running, doing data management in this crazy way. Yeah, so I have to duplicate. Like I said, you have to make 3 copies, or make sure 3 copies exist at all times.
Well,
So
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Are you like uploading it to servers? Or are you using like a service?
no, hell no.
So it's all local.
It's not Wi-Fi. It's
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was wondering if it's all staying local on just like multiple machines, so you have copies on multiple hard drives, I guess, or whatever, or RAID
So it
systems
depends
or
on the
whatever.
project. There is a system for uploading it,
Yeah.
but it's time consuming. So depending on how far away post-production is, and there's different levels of post-production, right? There's the dailies house, which could be completely different than editorial.
Yeah.
From my experience, mountain projects, anything where you're like out really far away from any sort of facility, you might use Aspira or some other alternative to upload directly to post. And if post is in LA instead of in Vancouver,
right.
You might do that. But it's super time consuming, and if the money hasn't been invested, it's not really going to work out well.
Yeah.
Usually what happens is we shoot to multiple hard drives, and the cards that go in the camera are hard drives. So I don't like to format those and use those as a hard copy until post makes an additional backup, or LTOs. LTOs is like a VHS essentially. It's a tape.
Oh, okay.
It's the most it's the safest form of a backup because it's more shelf stable than a hard drive.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Have you ever lost data or footage?
Lock?
Like lost it, like you know what I mean, failed. I mean, you say you may have to make 3 copies at all times. You back it up, but have you ever been like, whoops, deleted everything, shit?
Yeah, definitely happened once in the very beginning of my career. I tried to quit.
Okay.
I was like, apparently this isn't for me. This is the one thing you're not supposed to do, and I did it.
Right.
And the PM, I love him. We've known each other since the beginning. He was like, you know what? Wasn't a big deal. Never do it again. And I'm like, okay, I won't. And I never have.
Wow. What do you do in a circumstance like that? Like that one time, what did you guys end up doing?
You reshoot.
I mean,
Tell the truth.
you had to
Tell the
reshoot.
truth.
Yeah, you have to.
Oh,
Yeah.
we just didn't. I don't think we reshot it.
You didn't reshoot it.
Oh, you
No,
probably
it
just
wasn't.
re-edited
It wasn't mission critical.
That's what I was wondering. Like you didn't do it on anything like had to be done. Like you needed that shot or needed that scene or something like that.
Yeah. So if you ever lose footage, quit.
Quit.
It's
Run
safer
away,
than
change your
staying on the
name,
job.
and never show your face again.
You know, it's
Go into hiding.
It's funny. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and I watched the like the behind the scenes on, I think it was on the Fellowship or something, and they shot the movie, I guess, in New Zealand, Wellington area, and they had their studio there that they were doing all the dailies would come to and all that. So apparently the way they were handling this, or one of the guys in charge, they took all the footage that they had shot, and Peter Jackson wanted to see it every day or something. So he put it all on an iPod hard drive, because I guess back then the digital was like smaller digital files. So he filled up like whatever it was, like 120 gig hard drive with like the dailies or something, and then like lost the hard drive. Like en route, like went to get some coffee, and then was driving to Peter Jackson, his house to like bring this stuff, and then he like was this whole scramble to find this iPod that had like all the current scenes that they had shot or something for that day. And it was like this whole panic. I was just wondering if anything crazy like that has ever occurred, where it was like somehow things were in transit, or just crazy stuff like that. I don't know.
No, we use like FedEx.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, I guess in this scenario they were in like it was the early days of digital. It would have been reels of film, I guess, prior to that.
And what would have been happening there is the footage wouldn't be the raw footage; it would be transcoded.
Right.
So it's like somebody would have saved it as a smaller file format to fit on there.
So it wouldn't have been the original. It wouldn't have been like everything's lost as a result.
I think it was just more the fear of like it getting online or something like that, like people being able to see.
Huge fear. I don't know how that even happened. Like, I'm not going to say that I don't benefit from it, but who the fuck? This is our job. It's our job.
You had one job. Don't let it leak on the internet. Your one job.
Yeah, like I've seen stuff where it's like green screen still there. Like one of the X-Men movies.
Yeah, I was going to say that Wolverine movie. That whole movie was leaked online, and it was like no special effects, it was all like you could still see the wires, and it was like...
It was you, Frank, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like you got to respect what we do. I don't know why you would ever consider betraying that, because it's your entire career that's on the line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, there's just one other credit I wanted to ask you about, which was just one episode of Lost in Space, which was the new Netflix reboot of that. Was that a similar Altered Carbon kind of a deal, like a one-day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, same thing.
Cool.
And that's for the new season, right? So what's gonna happen? No, I'm just kidding. No.
So
yeah, put your career on the line right now.
I don't like to read scripts anymore. I still do it, but a couple things happen when you read the script. One, you're disappointed because you don't like it. And so you just get really bored. Like, I've done a ton of Hallmark stuff, and you're just like, kill me.
Yeah.
But then otherwise, you love the script, and then you don't see the film reach the potential that you have for, like, the desire that you have for this beautiful thing. I worked on this project with the pirate from Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever his name is.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp.
Well, the pirate.
There are a lot of pirates in that movie, but he's the main pirate.
Yeah, that guy. he was ripped the entire time,
Oof.
and he was always late. So I loved the script. It was about the character. Oh, I shouldn't ruin it if you're going to see it.
Oh, is it not out yet?
The whole movie. I think it's out. I think it's got a 9 something on IMDb.
This is not the Biggie and Tupac one, is it?
No.
Okay.
Is he in that?
He's doing there's a new Biggie. He plays the investigator who investigated the murders of
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's been out for a little bit now. It's called Richard Says Goodbye.
Okay.
He plays a professor who's diagnosed with cancer, and it's about him dealing with that and his family and his friends. And it's just beautiful. It was the director's first film, and he wrote it, and like I cried reading the script.
Wow.
It's just beautiful script, but they cut out all of the great scenes from the script, and so you that happens when you read a script, and you're just like, but you had so much potential. And it's a balance between art and budget at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. So what's happening with you next? What do you got lined up?
I just got asked to do some feature. I have no idea what it's called. I don't know. It's probably a favor. Well, it's a favor for my friend, so he can DP. And then I'm probably going to do another TV series on Vancouver Island. It's gorgeous there, and that'll take me into the summer.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you does like Netflix have like a huge influence there in Vancouver, like as far as their productions that they do?
Must.
Like I was asked to do the new Sabrina, but I'd come down to California to work for Apple, so I wasn't able to do it. And that would have been cool because it seemed pretty popular.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. It did pretty well.
Yeah.
It did.
Were you working on Apple's like their new productions or like mainly their commercial, the promotional kind of videos?
Nick is asking because
marketing.
Yeah, Nick is asking because he's trying to get in on a new iPhone just in case. That's what he's trying to do.
I'm the only one in this room who has an iPhone, so they rag on me.
He's the outsider.
I was involved in marketing, and I got to see all the products before they were released, and because I did these, I helped set up the video workflow so that all the creatives could learn about the products in advance.
That's awesome.
And then commercials, we didn't do a ton of them in-house, but if there was any reshoots that needed to be done, we would do them, and all of the marketing material. So, well, not all of it. A lot of it is all over the planet, but whatever was done locally, I'd help with in some capacity. For all of their launches, they have a couple different conferences throughout the year that they have marketing material.
That's right.
And I'd help out with different aspects of that.
That's awesome.
That's
Nick,
cool.
When you said that you get to see the product before it came out, Nick had like the hugest smile on his face.
I was like, oh, you got to
and
see the Wizards?
They destroy it. They show you the brand new product. They're like, hey, look at this. This is really cool. Let's break it apart.
What?
How does it work? What are the pieces in there? And you see how they built it, because they bring in an engineer that explains, hey, look, this is it.
Right.
And this is how we put it together, and these are all the new cool things that are in it.
That's awesome.
That is pretty cool, yeah.
That was super.
So that was a pretty cool experience?
That was cool. I wasn't very good at being in a corporate environment because I was used to being on large production sets, and I wanted to be on set all the time. I was responsible we had our own like rental department almost. Like we had 2 Alexa Minis and a Phantom and all these other camera equipment. And so I was responsible for maintaining all of it. Because I'm technical, I'm able to learn how to engineer a bit and fix anything and upgrade them and update them. And I would influence the purchases of what we were going to buy. And I would help in training other people.
That's awesome.
That's super cool.
You're a jack of all. You're all over the place. in the corporate
Yeah,
world, in
well,
the film
learning is like what the point of life is, right?
Right. That's true.
So basically, we've learned today that Frank Devine has created Altered Carbon. He created
He
Star Trek.
created them.
He's the original mind. He's the brain set behind all these films, and all the other people were like bullshit.
Yeah.
So,
No. I'm a support. I'm a support.
no, man.
Frank, could you just do us a favor? If you do another one of these, like another Star Trek movie or anything like this, please get the owl in one of these movies.
Yes.
I want to see them. I want to see, like, it's the Divine Owl.
If you remember, just text me and let me know which film the owl's in,
Which
because
scene?
I'm gonna go back and see. I'm gonna go look for that owl.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. There's like 7 of them. So I'll
That's great.
try and find them.
And I'm gonna start like a little just
Instagram.
social media thing. Yeah, Instagram, the Divine Owl. Who is? Yeah, I'm gonna start
it's
like a
Where's
whole
Waldo.
mystery behind this thing.
It's a Where's Waldo.
Who's this Divine Owl in films? What's going on? It's in every film out there. I'm gonna start some conversations.
There you go.
There you go. And it's all-
Easter eggs are the best. They make it fun on set.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, Frank, thank you so much for being on. We appreciate your time, and I mean, this is always great. I love hearing the behind the scenes, because I love the work that goes behind making a film. I love the creativity. I love the hard work, even if it's just having to. I love what you do, because lighting is such an important. It's equal to being important as sound and as video, because without the proper lighting, things just doesn't come together.
Yep.
And it's so important to hear that, and also how you are like the protector of the footage, to make sure that things come and things get created and things happen, like you said, like in support of the cinematographer and the director, to make sure that their visions come to life. Yeah, man, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Frank.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, you
Thank
too.
you.
All right. That was awesome.
That was awesome. I like that. That was very
Yeah.
technical. You know what I mean? We're always talking about the more like creative elements, like the writing, the directing, and stuff like acting. Like we concentrate so much on that, and like, but majority of a film is the technical end of it. Honestly,
100%.
it's the tech stuff, it's the rigging, it's the imaging, the DIT stuff. Like all of that stuff is so it's more the technical aspect of it. And seriously, 90% of the film guys, like the crew, are
where's
doing
all
this
that
type of
money
stuff.
going?
Yeah,
they're like, oh, we spent. I mean, it's mind-boggling. But you look at any Marvel movie that has come out, and I know that people are going to be like, why is he talking about Marvel?
Yes, Jesus Christ, Neil, why are you talking about Marvel?
Because they spend so much goddamn money on these movies, and it's because there's like 50,000 people that are like, working on this film. And just because when you watch the credits, you think that's everybody. Like, that's not everybody.
No.
There's so many more people that work on the film, and they spend upwards of $250 million, $300 million to make one Captain America or one Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever. Like it's insane.
Yep.
You could build a ride at Disney World for that. Like what the hell are you doing making a movie?
It's Marvel,
when
man.
you could make a ride at Disney World.
True.
No, but it's so true. It's so awesome to hear all these things. I love it.
It's awesome.
I'm fascinated. I sometimes love more watching the behind the scenes on the Blu-ray or on digital than I do on certain films.
Well, I think when you're younger and you grow up watching movies and it's like this fantastical thing that you don't understand how it was done, but you're like just enamored by everything you're seeing, there's like an anxiety that you attach to it. Like if you see a celebrity as a young person, you're 14, 15, you meet a celebrity, you're like panicking or something because they're on the tube.
Right.
You're like, you were in my house in a tube. Right.
In the box.
And it's like this mystery, but then when you start to like solve the mystery or blow away the fog or whatever of confusion on how the whole process is done, like everything he said is like most people don't know that all of that goes on, that you need somebody to do that.
Yep.
And the great thing
it's
about
a full-time job too.
Yeah, and it's full time. It's like, and you just work on project after project after project, and it's like
15 to 17 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about him was the fact that he ran away from all that celebritism.
Yeah, there's people that
He tried
are
to-
in the industry because they love what they do, but they're not necessarily all about
No.
the entertainment
they're
industry.
technicians.
Like,
They're like hands-on guys, like
Yeah.
in any other industry. They're not chasing the fame of something. They're like, hey, I want to be part of the creative process to make this thing a success. And he's definitely a supportive guy you could tell of the crew,
Yeah.
and just making sure he wants to make sure he does a good job
Exactly.
to help the movie succeed.
Yeah.
All respect. All
Yeah.
respect.
Super cool. Very, very awesome to have him on.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us here at Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. My name is Diego D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
Wait, did I press record?
Oh, I would kill you. I'd murder you something fierce.
Get the joke? Losing footage?
Oh.
The joke?
We
losing
got it.
footage?
Oh, because of that. Yeah,
because of the person.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
click.
It happened, though.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.